welcome to Fangirl Diaries. This is your fangirl host with the most, Danny. And let's get into today's entry. Oh my god, Lilia, this show has like 3 songs that we could use for our song of the week. But yet, the song of the week that we've already chosen, Chef Kisses. No way we're changing that. Although I do like it that they have a song called Mr. Romantic. I wonder what that one sounds like. You know what's funny is I've probably heard it and I just don't remember. I think it's got teeth on it. Anyway, what's up everybody? Today, when you're listening to this, it's going to be, what is it? National Dentist Day, right? Is it National Dentist Day? I think so. Happy National Dentist Day, everybody. If you're a dentist, why? I hate the dentists. They freak me out. Oh, you did look it up. Happy National Dentist Day, March 6th. Isn't that wild? Yeah. We have a day for everything. Like that groundhog. That bastard. You know, technically, 6 more weeks of winter. The fact that, like, all of them, like, there's, like, 6 of them, and then what, like, I think there was, like, a raccoon in one of the states that predicts such weird traditions. Turtle. It was a turtle? I thought it was a raccoon. I like that we're talking about this in March. But you know what's so funny about that? It's just that, like, I was watching videos of TikTok after that happened, and they were showing videos from wherever Puxatawny Phil is from. I have no idea. And I refuse to learn it because fuck that thing, rodent. And there were videos of people performing. And have you ever watched Parks and Recreation? Oh my God. You have to watch Parks and Rec. It's about a small town. I think it's called Pawnee. And Amy Poehler plays like the city council, right? And they do a bunch of like silly, like community center like type events. Like they held a funeral for a mini horse named Little Sebastian, like things like that. But like the joke is that if you watch that show and then watch like the videos from the Groundhog's Day celebration, it's like basically the same thing. You have people doing like weird dances to like Good Luck Babe, but they rewrote it so that, oh no, it was not hot called what is the other Chaperone song? Hot to Go, but it was like Puxatawny Phil like themed. And then like in the comments someone wrote, and they say America doesn't have any traditions or culture. And I was like, yep, that is our culture. As you know, one act is doing like a rendition of Gangnam Style to a groundhog who gave us 6 more weeks of winter. My favorite was at the end of the video, people were getting mad that like there was 6 more weeks of winter. I'm like, yeah, this is what happens when you celebrate a rodent. Anyway, we're this week on the podcast, we're doing Sweet Tooth Good Dentist. Yay! I didn't like this one. All right. So let's just get to the synopsis and get this one rolling. So say a university student with an unwavering love for sweets and a dessert ASMR, if you want to call it that, channel experiences the heartache of his life when he discovers he has a cavity. This forces him to seek treatment from Jay, a strange, handsome dentist who puts on a cool act, starting from a tense oil and water relationship. As Saint continues treatment, he begins to wonder whether Jay's caring nature is just part of the job or if there's something more beneath the surface. I will say that's not a bad explanation, but you know what's really weird to me? He doesn't have an ASMR channel. Like, I thought when this show came out, I was like, okay, maybe it's ASMR is different like everywhere else. Like maybe in Thailand, there's like a very specific genre of ASMR that I'm missing because mukbangs are a thing. And those sometimes can be considered ASMR. But like since the show came out, I have watched videos from Thailand that are ASMR videos. And it's nothing like here. Also, we never really see him do the actual videos. Like we don't see them eat, we don't hear it. I'm like, if you're gonna say that he's doing ASMR, can you at least like show it to us for like a split second? Lilia, can I just tell you, this was one of those shows that I almost quit halfway through. Or not even, I almost quit during the last like 4 episodes. Because let me tell you, I tried watching this last year when it first came out, and I just did not care much for it in the beginning. I was like, oh, this is cute, I guess, but it wasn't like I wasn't too interested in it. I was like, okay, I can like skip this for now and I'll come back to it later. But then, you know, we found out it was National Dentist Day and we figured let's do it for that. I really wanted to like this one. The first episode wasn't too bad. The characters was okay. It was just those last 4 episodes that I was like, oh, I completely understand why people were saying that like it fell apart halfway through. I'm like, the show. It's just so sad because the beginning of the series was actually pretty good. I actually really enjoyed it. I thought, oh, this actually may not be as bad as I thought it was going to be. And then the more we got into it, I'm like, wow, this is taking a long time to get to like the ending. And it didn't help that like I didn't know the ending, but I did know like the big twist towards the end. Because after the show had ended, I had seen like clips and like cuts and stuff because so I will say the main couple in the show is Mark and Ohm. This is, if you watch GMM, this is like Mark's first like big lead role, I guess, especially in a BL because he's in a partnering. Mark's usually one of those actors in GMM that you kind of like, every time you see him in a BL, you know he's in a BL because like it's like him, the twins, Neo, I want to say, is it Mond, and then like before he left, Derek. Those were all the ones that like you always saw them in a GMMBL as like the side characters, never the front. So it was like his first big break, and I was like, okay, cool. He's one of the few shows that I've liked, and I'm like, this is exciting. He's got his own lead, and then I didn't watch it. I dropped it. And I was hearing mixed reviews. I was hearing a lot of people liked it. And then what kind of confused me about this, right, is that this is his first big show break. I think that's amazing. Him and Ohm ended up getting a mascot right after. Do you remember the mascots, Lilia?
What?
Okay, do you remember the snowman one that looked like a jester? Okay, that's theirs. My issue is, so my favorite couple, not to bring this up, but to kind of bring up why I was kind of like iffy about this was, oh my God, who I say my favorite couple now I can't remember. I think it's because I like pushed them out of my mind since they like left me forever and ever. They're never coming back. Well, the actors are still there, but Great Inn, they had a mascot whose name was, I believe, was like Angelo, and they never made it into a full-fledged mascot because they ended up breaking up anyway. And they only did 2 shows together. Mark and Ohm have only done 1 show together. I don't remember if they had a trailer for another series, but my confusion is you gave them a mascot after 1 episode. You gave it a full-fledged suit, and we still have not seen them in another show. What happens if that next show isn't successful either? Are you going to break them up, or are you going to keep trying? Because it just seems like a waste of a mascot if you end up breaking them up after like 2 series. I'm just saying. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's just confusing because I mentioned this because the way GMM promoted this show, it's like they knew the last 4 episodes they had released were like shit. Well, not like shit, but like not great. And then like they knew it wasn't going to be this big hit. They kind of just threw it out there and didn't really give it a chance. Like, if you guys had at least put a little more effort into it, maybe I wouldn't be feeling this way now and having all these questions to myself. So, like I said, the beginning of the show is not that bad. You know, we meet our character, Saint J, or Jo. I kept saying it was Joey. I don't know, it was like with a W in the middle, but then like afterwards everyone just kept calling him Jay. He never corrected it after like the first couple times. And they're like a really kind of weird couple. Homeboy saying kind of does like a bajillion jobs. He is constantly working. In the beginning, I was like, dude, why are you working so much? He's like constantly working but never has money. We later find out it's because, you know, he needs to send money home. And then, you know, Jay is just kind of really outgoing, in my opinion. So there was one scene, by the way, I don't know why this is the second time in a series I've had to experience this, and I don't like it, because this happened to us during Me Too Love, where, like, they were very unclear on the ages of the characters, and then, like, Neo's character was kind of, like, possibly older than everybody, and then hitting on someone who might have been underage, because they couldn't all drink except for him. And in this one, Saint is, like, and I don't know why GMM does these jokes, like, these jokes aren't funny, no matter where you're at, but, like, GMM has a scene in this where Saint is like fixing I think like a light bulb fixture for this older woman, and you know what she does? She like basically asked him if he'll like sleep with her for money. Like, it was really, but in a way that like very clearly that's not what, like, she's like, do you do anything else for money? As she's like eyeing him, and I'm like, lady, that's weird. Like, he's not a minor, he's in college, but it's still weird. Like, that's soliciting him for a prostitute. What the fuck? Like, what the hell? I don't know. For me, I don't think little jokes are ever funny and shouldn't be put in shows like this, especially when you're aiming them towards, like, impressionable young adults. Because this show, I will say, out of all the, like, GMM shows I've seen, this one isn't as explicit as others. You know, they're kind of, like, on screen, like, scenes, like, aren't as explicit. They just kind of show them kissing or whatever and then alluding that they did something. So it's like, okay, but then to do that, I'm like, you didn't have to do that. You never have to do that. Don't ever do that. So homeboy does this ASMR channel. He really likes eating sweets, ASMR quote unquote. And this is kind of how he a lot of time makes his money, is through his fans, through like donations. It's kind of like he streams on like a TikTok-esque thing, but like, well, on TikTok you get donations. So basically on TikTok, right? And he one day eats something and gets a cavity. The problem is he's got a fear of the dentist. And I'm like, me too. I hate going to the dentist. I'm going to the dentist. When was the last time you went to the dentist, Lilia?
Last year?
I haven't gone in a couple. It's been a while. I need to, because I need to get a cavity refilled. But I get freaked out. Because, like, I mean, to kind of, like, express, like, I understood his fear. When I was younger, I had vampire teeth. So overgrown, and they wouldn't, so the bottoms wouldn't fall out. So they had to extract them, get them out themselves, right? So when they put me under, apparently, my grandma can tell you this, because she was there. They had to like put me under using like the sleeping mask. And I can't remember what else, but they had to put an injection in me, and it didn't work almost. Like I was refusing to like go under. And apparently, my grandma tells me this later, that when that was happening, they saw nurses freaking out. Because they were like, do we need to call for an ambulance? Because she's not going under fully. Luckily I did. And then I woke up loopy, and that was not fun. So essentially what I'm saying is that I can understand his fear about not wanting to go. And as the series goes along, so he goes to the dentist because he at the school, which by the way, I wonder if this is an actual thing, because I wouldn't mind testing this out myself. I think it's more because I was a student. You can go get yourself, go to the dentist area, and like the students will do procedures for you on the house as like having you be they're like projects. Like they have to do different certain things for like classes and stuff, right? So he goes, and then he realizes that, oh shit, Jay is my dentist. Cut to like a year before or a couple months before, he does like weird jobs. We kind of realize that, right? He does a job for a girl who's like, hey, I need you to go reject this guy for me. I need you to go and tell him that I want to date him because I've met someone else on a dating app and we've connected and I think we're soulmates. And I'm like, girly pop, what's wrong with you? But he goes, and instead of like accepting the rejection, Jay kind of like bounces back and is like, let's go on a date, you and me. And basically throughout the series, and this is what annoyed the hell out of me, because we didn't need this to be like, this could have been one episode instead of just multiple cutbacks. It was just really annoying how we kept going back and back and back to like the first time they met. Because then it got confusing at the end. They go on this date. They spend the entire date together. But it turns out there were many times throughout the date that like Saint tried to like leave Jay behind. Like they go to a movie and this couple is like being grossly annoying really loudly. And Jay gets them kicked out. And it's like really embarrassing. And then they go on a boat and then Saint kind of tries to leave him behind. And then Jace jumps out and swims in the ocean to get back to him. And then they get drunk at karaoke and like, I guess kiss or whatever, but then like the next morning, Saint leaves him, like abandons him hungover, says, oh, I'm gonna get us some coffee, and I guess leaves. I want to point out that towards the end of watching the series, I kind of was like speeding through it to try to get to the important parts. I could not tell if he actually went back or not, because there's a scene towards the end where we kind of go full circle and he comes back. He goes like, they went to go see the movie again. I'm gonna go back to this a little bit later, or maybe I won't, I don't know, but like, he has kind of like that same moment again where they're supposed to meet up to go see a movie and he essentially misses it because he's hanging out with someone else because he's doing some like work thing. And then Jay feels like he's been abandoned. And then it turns out, no, he hasn't. It's just, he was late. Can't tell if in the flashback was real or not. It's like so poorly edited. I hated it so much. There was so much potential. I feel like there was so much that could have been done. It just wasn't there. So I also want to point out there's a whole side story of like the dude's friend and a girl, and the girl is like Jay's like dentist partner. And I'm gonna say this really quick. I didn't pay attention to their storyline at all because it was like kind of like all over. It was not all over the place. I was kind of like, okay, I don't really care. Where Saint's friend, who his name is written here, but I'm not even gonna bother, likes the girl. He basically becomes her student, test subject, whatever you want to call it. And then he finds out later that she has a girlfriend. But then she breaks up with the girlfriend. They get together. And then he has to work with her ex-girlfriend. And then it turns out, oh, the ex-girlfriend still has feelings for her. So he gets them back together. And then he's all alone at the end of the series. So I was like, I didn't need all of that. So I just want to point out, we didn't need any of that drama. like there was so much going on and so many like oh my god moments that like or what they felt like should have been oh my god moments that we just didn't need to add this. You could have taken that all out, just had them in side characters, and we wouldn't have had to spend like 11 episodes. Because that was my main concern. There was 11 episodes and it kept going on and on. So this is also my first time that like there's certain GMM couples that I've never seen. I have to still watch That Summer. I've never seen them. There are a bunch of like couples under GMM that I've never seen before. And there are like I've never watched an Afghan show. Even though like they came out with one recently. Force Book, I've only ever seen Only Friends. And my one thing about that is just like it's not them only. It's like multiple couples, and the other couple I was more into like First Cow's story than I was theirs. So I really want to see like a mainly just, you know, Force Book series. I just haven't sat down and watched one, at least that I can remember. So another couple of GMM that I haven't watched yet is Jimmy C. I know they came out with My Magic Prophecy last year, but I also heard that like Last Twilight is supposed to be really, really good. So I do want to watch them. Jimmy was obviously in the series. He plays a character called Captain. I love how these characters have weird names. Anyway, I love Jimmy in this. And a small part of me, I was getting annoyed with Mark's character. And I kind of wanted Captain and Saint to get together, even though I know it was an endgame. And that happens a lot with me with GMM, is that they'll introduce, like, this happened with me with Fish Upon the Sky when we get to that series. Because that one, I'm still holding that as, like, my go ship. Oh, and with Only Friends. It's one specific member. If you've seen both of those shows, you know who I'm talking about. It's one and the same. But, like, because we would have a moment where Jay, like, so we go through this whole love triangle thing with Captain and Jay and Saint. And at one point, Saint is hosting like a movie night type thing for the school, right? All these different departments have booths, and he's had been helping out with Captain in the series, right? So he and Captain are getting famous on their like live stream channels. And they're invited by this like top influencer to do their show live. And Captain's basically like, no, you're going to go and you're going to spend time with Jay. So he gets there late, but the movie that gets picked is the movie that they never got to finish during their first date. And that you're thinking by the end of the episode, oh my God, he's going to confess. Jay's finally going to confess. You know what he does? Because the first time we see the scene, Saint is like, do you have something you want to tell me? And then Jay is like, I need to go to the bathroom. And then he goes to the bathroom and he doesn't ask him to be his boyfriend. And it pissed me off because even in the next episode, right? Saint is like, maybe I should just pick the cafe owner. After said cafe owner was like, no, go to your dentist. Because it turns out, and this is what pissed me off about this character, Jay's character was like, well, he should have told me what his feelings were because I already told him once. Like, my guy, we're already past that. You had the opportunity and you didn't take it. And it took us another episode to get these two together. But then it happens really quickly. And then we're like, why do we still have 4 more episodes to go? Why are we still going on? Why? Because the two central conflicts, the big secret he's been holding, which we find out Captain's like, I know the real reason why you didn't ask him. You should just tell him. And then Saint's whole trauma with the dentist, which we dealt with, but not fully, is being like done in the last 4 episodes. And it's fucking annoying. Lilia, do you want to know what this trauma was? Why he couldn't be at the dentist? So we find out very early on, his mom, I'm not kidding you, and this is what really got to me, his mom abandoned him at the dentist office. Just got up and left. No, that's not even the fucking worst part of it. So that's the reason why he's got like this trauma, because he was scared alone and he hasn't been back to a dentist since. He lived with his grandparents all his life, the rest of his life. That's why he's like always sending home money, because that's who raised him, blah, blah, blah. He's got a nephew, but I can't tell if it's a nephew through a brother or sister, because I don't think they ever mention a sibling. Or if this is like a nephew where it's like, he's like a great nephew, like, you know, like maybe his mom's cousin's kid, but whatever. So we find out later on, he goes back home during the spring holiday or summer holiday, whatever it is. Jay ends up going as well with his friend. They start like a dentist business to help out the elderly people or whatever. His grandma ends up in the hospital. She gets really sick. And his mom shows up again after so many years. She got abandoned when he was like 8. He's now 20. So it's like, what, 12 years? Something like that, give or take. So it's the first time she's seeing him in forever. And she hadn't heard from him. She tried texting her once when he was a kid. And then we find out why she left. And it pissed me off so much that I was like, no, this is not something that's unforgivable. I don't care what the excuse was. So the reason she left, so he took her to the because he had a cavity or had to get a filling. And she took the opportunity to leave because a man had promised her to take her away to open a beauty salon. To help her improve her life by opening a business, because she had been raising Saint by himself since the father died. She had met this man, fallen in love with him, and he said, come with me, I'm moving to this area, I will open you a beauty salon, but you can't bring your kid with me. And I'm like, no. She does it, and then you know what happens? He was a total scammer. He didn't open the beauty salon, he racked up a lot of debt in her name, and then ran off with a different woman. So throughout this entire time, she's saying, I struggled. I didn't want you to see me this way. You know, I was trying to pay off this debt. No, I don't care if you're ashamed. You should be ashamed. You left your son behind for a man, basically. I don't care if he said that once you guys were settled in, that you could bring him, but you basically said, he said you couldn't bring your son. That should have been your first red flag. I understand that if you would have brought him and then all this would have happened, it would have been really bad. But you could have sent him home if this had happened. Like, there was a million different ways I could have gone about it. You also left him in a super scary moment for him. He was a child. You know, dentist, like, I feel like that's what's crazy is that he's very valid in, like, being scared of the dentist because it's a lot of noises. It's really sharp. And when you, like, really stinging noises, and what irked me the most, they all told him to forgive her. And then he does. Because they're like, oh, she meant well, blah, blah, blah. But he talks about how, like, when he was a kid, he had won an award for this thing. He had known his grandparents were still in contact with her. Tried to text her through his grandparents' phone, and she still didn't respond back. He, like, waited and waited for her. That was fucked up. It made me so angry. And it just irks me because they kind of do these, like, oh my God, dealing with trauma, we'll take like an episode and a half to deal with it, and then we'll clear it up really quick and then move on to the next thing, and then they're happy. And then we find out Jay's trauma, and his trauma is that the reason why he no longer eats desserts is because, and the reason why he became a dentist is because we find out his family's got money, is that on his birthday, his older brother was learning to be a dentist, was going to school for being a dentist. He was killed on his birthday in a car accident. Some car had, like, struck him. He passed away suddenly. And then he decided, because, you know, their mom was, like, really proud of the older brother for becoming a dentist and doing all this. He said he was going to continue and become his brother, you know, give his mother back some normalcy, even though it's not something he wanted to do at all. And I'm like, I'm sorry, why did it take us 11 episodes to find this, or 10 episodes to find this out? I knew Cow Tongue was in this. Cow Tongue plays the older brother because I'd seen clips of it. And I'm like, oh, so we're going to waste 10 fucking episodes to do all of this. And mind you, we time jump by like 3 years at the last episode. This is what irks me. So we get to the last episode. The ending of episode 10, he's driving off to go see his mom. So his birthday happens. Saint had decided to, like, throw him a birthday party, but then he finds out he doesn't like celebrating his birthday because that's the day of his brother's death. And Jay had gone to visit his mother, and she makes a point to say that something's wrong with her car, and he goes, I'll take the car to get fixed, you use mine. And he's driving, he gets home, and then they have the birthday celebration. He's like, his birthday again. His friend, Captain, basically tells him, hey, you need to go tell your mom the truth. You need to go tell her that, like, you don't want to be a dentist. This is not something you've been wanting to do. You did this for her because you wanted to continue your brother's legacy, but it's not something you love doing anymore. He drives back home, and at the end of this episode, it cuts to him coming out of the car and bumping into his dead brother. He's in a coma because it turns out he too got hit by a car. And what I have learned about this family is that they should not be driving on this boy's birthday because they will all get into an accident. So we spent the first half of, like, the last episode, or like not the first half, like the first 10 minutes, it's him in a coma, and he's kind of been transported back to the day that his brother died. But instead of him dying, he got home safely, and they're celebrating his birthday, and he's basically living the life he wanted to live. It's just the only thing that's not there yet is Saint, because he wouldn't have met Saint had he not become a dentist. Because that's how they met, essentially. And then he decides to go back. And we clear this up really quick, where he tells his mom finds out because Captain tells his mom, and then he wakes up, and his mom was like, you didn't have to do this. I like this. She's grateful, but like, don't ever do that. Blah blah blah. And they celebrate his birthday again all together with his mom and his mom's new white boyfriend, because that I mentioned that she has a white boyfriend, because it took me by surprise. Like they bring that up, like when they bring the mom in finally, that's like his big thing is being overprotected about his mother, and the fact that now she's like kind of basically moving on and has now met a man and is now happy, and it's like he's kind of realizing, oh, maybe it's time for me to move on, right? But he's still holding on to everything. But yeah, coma, all of this, and then I'm like, for being one with last time, because it drove me fucking nuts. They almost break up again. Because the grandparents are like getting really old, and he wants to stay at home and take care of his parents. And his mom comes back, and his mom's like, no, I'll take care of them. So then they get back together and they start living together. But then they can't do the bumbaya because like apparently they have no time to have sex together. I don't know why I called it bumbaya. And then they move to like Saint's grandparents' hometown because that's where they kind of want to live and be peaceful. And then there's something that happened in the middle of all this, and I can't remember. All I know is that it was so rushed. It was so cut together. I kind of was like, what the fuck is happening? What is going on? Oh, they all start their own like dessert eating channels together. And that's how it ends. They're living happily ever after in this small town. All of them are doing great, except homeboy, Saint's friend, who never got into a relationship. But hey, at least homegirl got engaged, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I don't blame her. She was bisexual. She just like, she picked what she liked and she got what she bed together. But I thought that was like a whole pointless like plotline as well. And that was like the end of the show. I didn't care for it. It's sad because like if you cut out a couple of like the flashbacks, or at least made the flashback maybe the first 30 minutes of one episode, cut the whole plot line of the friend trying to get with the female dentist, and then being, said that she's a lesbian, whatever, and then her getting with her girlfriend, bringing all that plot line. You didn't need that. Cutting down some of the mom plot lines. That was not like, that could have been resolved much earlier as opposed to much later. If they had brought up the brother thing much sooner instead of like making that all one last episode, like they could have cut out a lot that was unnecessary. It could have been a good like 8 to 10 episodes. I would have given it 8, especially for a first series for this couple. And it might have been at least decent. It would have been still the greatest. Like it still wouldn't have been great. I want to point out, because even the first couple episodes, I kind of was like, okay, but like it would have been better than it was now. It's like, it's got like, I think a 7 out of 10 on my drama list. And then it's, I don't know. It should have been better. I don't know what else to say. That's all I gotta say. It's just, it was a show. So they are going to be another show together. They are going to be, their next main role is kind of annoying because they're sharing it with like 2 other couples who are, I think this is like maybe their first shows or whatever. It is called Roommate Chaos. I did not see the trailer for this one. I'll have to watch it, but like hopefully it's better. I don't know. This just is not it. And I feel bad for this couple because I think it was Mark. I remember when the show ended, Mark, I think, came out and this became like a controversy. I think he had basically stated that he wasn't happy with how the show came out. Like he wasn't happy with how like everything was done and that it could have been better, it should have been better. And like kind of left it at that. And I kind of agree. Like I feel really bad, and people like, if people were criticizing for that, it's like, well, he understands what's going on and it really should have been better. I want to find out. So I'm on Instagram. I wonder if I could see. So they did do merch. You know what sucks about GMM? Besides everything, is that they post on Instagram like every single day, like at least 2 to 3 posts a day. This show came out when? Show came out in March and ended in June, because I think I got postponed like a week or 2 because of, I think like an earthquake or something. I can't remember what happened. So if I wanted to look back, let's see, when did I say it end? June? Do you think I could scroll back fast enough to see the post? I want to know if they sold merch. They probably did, but I want to know how many, because like so me and Thee just finished recently and they sold a decent amount of merch. They're selling a lot of merch. So okay, so I made it to June 21st. In the show, they wear these shirts that like say dessert, and they did sell them. So the dessert shirts, but that was like a pre-order. Oh my God, I almost closed it. Oh, that would have been bad. Okay, let's see. There should be more. The dessert shirts again. Oh my god, I want to point out, I still haven't found any. The only thing I found that advertises like merch for this show is like the Momo doll and the shirts. There had to have been other merch. This is based on a book. This is what I mean by like GMM really didn't promote this that well. Because like, what do you mean? I'm seeing promotions for a Winsley plushie and the concert stuff, the Heart Killers, but I'm not finding anything for this show that had just ended. I feel like Revamp had more. Oh, here we go. Finally. I'm assuming this is an advertisement for the final episode. Okay. So for this show, they sold the Zodiac. Well, they sold the collective card sets, which is something they do for every show. Because I have one for One D Good Day, the novel. And then there's a Zodiac series thing they do for all the couples. They released that and the t-shirt. And I think that's the only merch. It is literally the only merch. At least if they sold the final meeting. I'm not seeing anything else. It's the only thing I'm seeing. So this show really didn't get much advertisement. That's sad. Like, I'm scrolling through and I'm seeing more posts about Pokeson, which is fair because it's Pokeson. And just the same thing advertised over and over again in terms of merch. So I guess I kind of have to agree. JMM was kind of shit in advertising this show and it should have been better. Like, yeah, I'm saying the same thing again. It's just the Momo and the stuff. It's you know what it is? I don't want to say it's a terrible show. I just didn't like it. And I feel like a lot of it had to do with the editing in those last few episodes. And that's what's really sad to me. So before we do Song of the Week, I guess I have to give my rating. I'm going to give this, I think this is the first time we've given this rating, a 4 out of 10. I didn't like it. I don't think this is a show I'm going to watch again now that I've seen it. It's kind of one that I'm like, okay, I'm going to check it off my list. I just didn't care. By the end of everything, I was like, okay, I hope the next series is better. I just am not going to watch this again. So, yeah, 4 out of 10 for me. Our song of the week. So there are songs from this show. I just didn't really care much for them. And the main reason we wanted to do this series is one, because it's Dentist Appreciation Day, but also because I found out that my favorite toothbrush song is on Spotify. So this week, our song of the week is My Shiny Teeth and Me by one Mr. Chip Skylark. That's right, bringing it to Fairy Odd Parents. This is Lilia's worst nightmare. Fun fact, Chip Skylark was based on 2 members of NSYNC, and one of those members that he was inspired by actually voiced him. I think it was Chris Patrick? I can't remember. I don't remember. I think it was Chris. I don't freaking remember. But anyway, that's kind of it for this episode. If you like this series, I mean, that's great. I mean, tell me what you liked about it in the comments. I feel like I just was not that into it as I liked it to be. I hope Mark get to do another series that it's better and they try again. I hope that this next one does better and it's not like a last-ditch effort like everyone seems to think, because I would hate that. With everything they've put on this couple, it just doesn't seem right. If they like drop them as a couple after 2 series, they should at least get 3. I don't get the point of doing a mascot if you're just going to drop them right away. But, yeah. Anything you want to say, Lilia? All right, guys. I guess we'll see you in the next one. Bye. All right, guys, that's it for this entry. Make sure to follow us on all of our social media accounts. On Twitter, you can find us at FG Diaries Pod. On Tumblr, TikTok, and Instagram, you'll find us at FG Diaries Podcast. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and hope you all have a wonderful fangirly day.